You know, when you hear about treatments for Parkinson's,
Mhm.
um, you probably think medications or maybe physical therapy.
Right.
But what if I told you one of the most promising approaches involves like a ping pong paddle
Okay.
and a paintbrush?
Wow.
Yeah. You're in for a fascinating deep dive today as we explore this unusual method
Okay.
developed by Clemente Ernesto De Martino,
Okay.
which is all about improving quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
It really challenges the way we think about treating chronic illnesses, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Instead of just managing symptoms, DiMartino's method focuses on rediscovering joy, creativity, and connection.
Yeah.
Things that can get pushed aside when facing a diagnosis like Parkinson's.
For sure, for sure. Okay, so let's unpack this.
Okay.
For those unfamiliar with the challenges of Parkinson's,
Hmm.
what are some of the things this disease throws at people?
Well, you've got the tremors, the stiffness, the slowness of movement, all of which make everyday tasks incredibly difficult.
Right.
Imagine trying to button your shirt or tie your shoes when your hands tremble uncontrollably, and
Right.
trying to walk across a room when your steps feel like they're stuck in molasses.
Oh, wow.
It's incredibly frustrating and can really impact a person's independence.
So on top of the physical challenges, you're also dealing with this loss of control, this feeling of being trapped in your own body.
Yeah,
It's no wonder that people with Parkinson's often struggle with anxiety and depression.
absolutely. And that's where traditional treatments often fall short.
Okay.
They might address the physical symptoms to some extent, but they don't address the emotional and social toll the disease takes.
And that's where DiMartino's method comes in, flipping the script with this unexpected combination of ping pong and art.
It sounds strange at first, right?
It does, yeah.
But when you think about what Parkinson's actually affects in the brain,
Okay.
things like coordination, balance, and motor control,
Right.
suddenly ping pong starts to make a lot of sense.
It's like a sneaky form of brain training disguised as a fun activity.
Yeah.
But how does it work on a neurological level?
Well, every time you hit that ping pong ball, your brain is firing off a complex sequence of signals to your muscles, forcing them to work together in a coordinated way.
So it's like building new pathways in the brain, strengthening those connections that Parkinson's tries to weaken.
Precisely. And because it's enjoyable, patients are more likely to stick with it, leading to greater improvements over time.
Plus, you've got that social aspect.
Right.
Imagine joining a ping pong club, laughing with friends, maybe even getting a little competitive. You're not just exercising your body,
Right.
you're exercising your social muscles too, which is something that traditional therapies often overlook.
And those social connections are so important, especially for people facing a chronic illness. They provide a sense of community, belonging, and support that can make a world of difference in a person's outlook and well-being.
It's like that saying, laughter is the best medicine. But in DiMartino's method, it's not just laughter, it's art too, right?
Yes.
And not just as a distraction, but as a key component of the treatment.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've covered ping pong. Now tell me, what's the science behind incorporating art into this approach?
Think of it this way. With Parkinson's, you're battling physical limitations, but often it's the inability to express yourself that's truly isolating.
It's like being trapped inside your own head, unable to communicate the thoughts and emotions swirling around.
Exactly. Now imagine picking up a paintbrush, feeling the texture of the paint, making deliberate strokes on the canvas.
Okay.
It bypasses those motor limitations and opens up a whole new avenue for self-expression.
So instead of focusing on what they can't do, art allows them to focus on what they can create.
Right.
That's powerful.
And it goes even deeper than that. There's growing evidence that engaging in artistic activities stimulates neuroplasticity, essentially rewiring the brain by forging new neural connections.
Hold on, neuroplasticity for those of us who didn't just come from a neuroscience lecture.
It's like this. Imagine your brain is like a city with roads representing the connections between different areas. Parkinson's is like having construction block certain roads, making it hard to get around. But engaging in art is like building new roads and detours, allowing the brain to find alternative routes and bypass those roadblocks.
So by tapping into different parts of the brain, art can help compensate for the functions affected by Parkinson's. I'm starting to understand why this method is called socio-recreational artistic stimulation. But how do you choose which art form to use?
Right.
Is painting better for certain symptoms, music for others?
That's where things get really interesting. You see different art forms activate different parts of the brain. Painting, for example, with its focus on fine motor skills and spatial awareness, can help improve dexterity and coordination.
And I imagine something like sculpting could have a similar effect, working those fine motor muscles in a different way.
Exactly. Music, on the other hand, is like a full brain workout. It engages our emotions, memories, and even our language centers. There have been incredible cases where Parkinson's patients who struggled to walk could suddenly move with fluidity and rhythm when music was playing. It's like the music unlocks something within them.
Wow, that sends chills down my spine. It really highlights how powerful art can be as a therapeutic tool.
And the beauty of De Martino's method is that it recognizes this power and incorporates it into a holistic approach. Remember, it's not just ping pong or just art, it's the combination of these activities along with that crucial social component that makes it so effective.
You mentioned earlier that DiMartino's method is about more than just managing symptoms. It's about restoring a sense of joy and meaning in the lives of people with Parkinson's. I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together to make that happen.
Think of it as reclaiming a sense of agency. It's about shifting the focus from limitations to possibilities, from what's lost to what can still be experienced and enjoyed.
It's about empowering people with Parkinson's to live their lives to the fullest on their own terms.
Precisely. And that sense of empowerment can have a ripple effect impacting not just the individual, but their families and communities as well.
It's about changing the narrative around Parkinson's, showing that there is life, there is hope, there is joy to be found, even in the face of this challenging diagnosis. So for someone listening to this who is thinking, this all sounds amazing, but where do I even begin? What advice would you give them? It can feel overwhelming, right? Like, I get that ping pong is good for you, but am I supposed to become the next Forrest Gump overnight?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
DiMartino's method is all about meeting people where they are. It's about those small, joyful victories.
So what, like finding a local ping pong club, dusting off that old guitar in the attic? What are some first steps?
Exactly. It could be as simple as putting on some music and dancing in your living room,
Okay.
or trying a new art class even if you think you're not creative.
It's about that willingness to try to rediscover those things that bring you joy without judgment. I love that.
And remember, you don't have to go it alone. Connecting with a support group, either for people with Parkinson's or those interested in these kinds of therapies, can provide a sense of community and shared purpose. It's about finding your people, those who understand the journey, and can offer encouragement and inspiration.
It's like building your own team of cheerleaders as you navigate this new approach.
Yeah.
That's incredibly valuable. So as we wrap up our deep dive into ping pong Parkinson's and the power of art, what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away from this conversation?
It's that there is always hope, and there's always something you can do to take control of your health and well-being, even in the face of a challenging diagnosis.
It's about reclaiming that agency, that sense of possibility.
Exactly. And sometimes those solutions come from the most unexpected places. Who knew that a simple game of ping pong or picking up a paintbrush could be so transformative?
It reminds us to stay curious, to never stop exploring new possibilities, and to find joy in the unexpected.
Beautifully said.
So as we wrap up our deep dive today, here's something for you to ponder. What seemingly ordinary activity or forgotten passion could you bring back into your life to spark a little joy and maybe even unlock a healthier, more fulfilling you? You might be surprised by the ripple effect it creates. Thanks for joining us on this fascinating deep dive into the unexpected world of Parkinson's treatments.